Hi, I'm Ryan Graham and welcome to Northwest Newsweek. A second transport truck has been destroyed by fire in this region in as many days. It happened on Friday, but unlike Thursday's incident at Maple Ward Road, this one near Marathon involved a 3-vehicle collision. It happened just after 6 o'clock Friday morning. OPP say the vehicles involved in the crash were a transport, an SUV, and a pickup truck. All occupants were transported to the hospital, and the passenger in the pickup was confirmed to have suffered serious injuries. The highway was closed throughout the day between Old Heron Bay Road and Terrace Bay and was fully reopened that evening. OPP say the transport was carrying car batteries, and the Marathon Fire Department was on scene for what they called a fully involved tractor-trailer fire. Former Fort Frances nurse Lindsay Coyle will never practice again after admitting her action caused a patient's death. Coyle altered an elderly woman's medication record in 2015 in order to steal morphine while working at La Vérendrye Hospital. Justin Hardy has the details.
Lindsay Coyle's actions led to 76-year-old Hermina Fletcher receiving too much morphine and dying of toxicity. Coyle was originally charged with multiple crimes, including second-degree murder, but in 2022, she pleaded guilty to criminal negligence causing death and breaching a release order. She was sentenced in 2024 to 2 years in jail. At a College of Nurses of Ontario disciplinary hearing on Thursday, Coyle admitted to 3 counts of professional misconduct: abusing a patient by changing her medication record, falsifying the record, and acting in a way considered disgraceful and unprofessional. The college accepted her permanent resignation, meaning she can never reapply to work as a nurse. In a separate civil case, she was ordered to pay $130,000 in damages to Fletcher's family, who had originally sought $3 million. The related claim against the hospital has been dismissed after an out-of-court settlement. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Ontario Provincial Police are investigating the cause of a fire that engulfed the youth centre in Wapekeka First Nation, the same building where a man was recently killed by police.
There's the youth center and that's on fire, so they torched it.
An OPP spokesperson says they were notified about the blaze around 11:30 last Sunday night. Police also confirmed the fire was at the youth center, which is also used as a courtroom for fly-in court proceedings in the remote First Nation. That's the building where 23-year-old Tyrese Roundsky was shot and killed by an officer on July 30th, after Roundsky allegedly walked in and approached police while carrying a knife. OPP say no one was inside the building when the fire broke out, and no one was hurt in the blaze, which completely destroyed the facility. Highway safety, immigration, and post-secondary education were the top priorities from the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association this week as they met with provincial ministers in Ottawa. NOMA President Rick Dumas stopped by TBT News to talk about the issues they highlighted.
We have continuing amounts of deaths on our highways, and we have 2 lanes in a lot of places, and a lot of blind spots, sharp corners, hills, and we got wildlife to contend with.
NOMA officials met with Transportation Minister Prabmeet Sarkaria at the 2025 AMO conference. They talked about expanding the 2+1 lane highway model, increasing traffic enforcement and stop checks, and getting weigh scales open more regularly. NOMA also asked for input into highway planning and design, which Dumas says the minister committed to looking into. The push for skills training and immigration to support the region's workforce was another key priority.
In small northern rural communities of northwestern Ontario, I represent 37. If you don't have the Lily's restaurant open because you can't get staff, or the corner store or the service station because you can't get staff, you need to have those facilities serviced by having employees available, and maybe some of those employees are coming through immigration.
Creating pathways to immigration in places outside Thunder Bay is crucial, said Dumas, as is ensuring long-term funding stability for Confederation College, particularly its stay and learn programs throughout the region. The federal government is providing more than $1 billion for the software lumber industry. Experts here in northwestern Ontario are hoping this can change the business calculation and end what has been one of the largest trade disputes dating back to the Second World War. CTV's Corey Nordstrom has more.
Communities like White River depend heavily on the forestry sector, with more than half of the town's employment tied to the local sawmill. The Prime Minister's announcement of $1.2 billion is a relief to residents who also welcome the opportunity to grow the business's clients within their own backyard.
We will be our own best customer.
I think it was 93% or close to that was exported to the States from our mill alone. And that number is going to shrink, and our Supply in Canada number is going to increase with this government support. So that's definitely a win for our community and for our forestry industry.
Many towns in the north rely on their forests, and until this week, there had been frustration with the lack of focus on the industry.
Steel sector, the aluminum sector, the automotive sector always had front and center attention. And there was never any mention of the lumber forestry sector, which is deeply concerning because it's such a major employer in Northern Ontario.
The current trade war may appear to have been the catalyst for the new funding, but industry experts say this has been going on since 2008.
Since the Department of Commerce began collecting duties in the current iteration of this dispute, the total amount, including interest in the U.S., is around $10 billion.
Dunn sees the timing of the new funds as critical and expects that additional costs to cross-border lumber sales are coming.
2 weeks ago, we saw the anti-dumping duty increase to 20%. We're anticipating as early as tomorrow that the countervailing duty could go up to 14% or so. Combined, the duty would be about 34.45%. We have never seen a rate as high as that.
Experts also worry the United States will add to the 35% tariffs on forest products, targeting panels, pulp, and paper products. Dunn believes Prime Minister Carney is committed to the lumber industry and sees ending the years-long dispute as a top priority. Corey Nordstrom, CTV News, Sault Ste. Marie.
The Nuclear Waste Management Organization has selected a vendor to design its new Center of Expertise in Ignace. This marks a major step forward in the multi-billion-dollar project planned for northwestern Ontario. The winning vendor, SEMA Canada, is a major national company that will be working alongside several Thunder Bay firms. Design will begin in the coming months alongside community engagement sessions in Ignace to gather local input on the facility. Construction is expected to start in 2026. Ignace officials have expressed strong support, calling the center one of the most significant builds in the municipality's history. Vince Ponca, the NWMO's regional communications manager, says that aside from the deep geological repository, this will be the largest project connected to the organization. He adds that this project and the DGR as a whole will be sure to bring jobs to the community.
In terms of the whole deep geological repository, it will bring 400 to 600 jobs to Ignace. But in terms of the construction of the Center of Expertise, it's hard to know right now how many people will be involved in the construction. But again, it's a building that could be as big as 100,000 square feet. So it will be quite a large construction project that I'm sure will employ an awful lot of people for quite a while.
Ponca adds the NWMO welcomes public feedback on both the center and the broader repository project. Coming up next, the family of two Dryden drowning victims are trying to bring swimming lessons back to school.
That phone call, I replay it in my head every day. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. It should never have happened.
Welcome back. Family members of two siblings who drowned in Dryden at the end of July are hoping their story brings awareness about the importance of teaching kids to swim. As CTV's Alex Carpa reports, the family is now lobbying to bring swimming back into the school system.
They were really close. He loved his little sister.
July 30th, 2025 was a day Stacy Grant will never forget.
That phone call, I replay it in my head every day. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. It should never have happened.
15-year-old Caden Grant and his 12-year-old sister Jocelyn drowned in the Wabagoon River in Dryden, Ontario. Stepmother Heather Dodd says Jocelyn fell in first.
When she submerged, her brother, who also did not have very strong swimming skills, went in after her to try to rescue her. And unfortunately, he succumbed to the water as well.
Approximately 460 people fatally drown in Canada each year. This according to the Life Saving Society of Canada, and over 50 of those are children under the age of 14. To combat this, the family is launching a foundation called Water Wings. It's aimed at raising awareness about the importance of water safety for school-aged children. Grandfather Michael Williams is now petitioning Ontario Premier Doug Ford to bring swimming lessons back into the elementary school curriculum.
The problem is that it's being offered only as an opt-in basis, whereas I think it should be the other way around. It should be opt-out. So it should be a negative option. So schools have to do it unless they have a valid reason why they can't do it.
Heather says she will do anything she can to bring forth awareness.
You don't want to be in our position. You don't want to ever feel what we feel.
Stacy, Heather, and Michael are hoping their family's story will help prevent future tragedies so others won't have to go through the same grief they are currently experiencing. Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Some good news this week about two major wildfires that have been burning since May. Ontario Forest Fires posted today that the fires, Kenora 20 and Kenora 32, are now out. Those fires measured just over 36,000 and 7,700 hectares respectively. The agency is sending out a huge thank you to the hundreds of personnel who helped in the firefight. The Code of Conduct investigation into Anishinaabe-Aski Nation Deputy Grand Chief Bobby Narcisse was resolved last week at the Nan Kiwinin Conference. Narcisse was cleared and says he's anxious to get back to work. He's now looking to bring about reforms to the conflict resolution system he just went through.
I just want to say to my constituents that I have behaved in accordance to my code of conduct, that I have acted in the best interests of our communities and our First Nations throughout my tenure.
Narcisse was placed under investigation in early April and barred from NAN offices, restricted to working virtually. He says it was his questioning of a planned corporate restructuring that prompted the investigation. Questions he feels it was his duty to ask. The chiefs approved a mandate for that restructuring in May, he said, and the investigation wrapped up in June. All restrictions on Narcisse were lifted at that time, suggesting no serious allegations were substantiated. The matter was formally concluded in a closed session on August 13th. NAN officials are declining to comment. Although he's satisfied with the result, Narcisse said he was frustrated with the process.
For a First Nation organization to use a colonial system right off the bat, rather than, talk in a circle, use our elders and overcome these challenges that we face in a good, safe environment where we could speak freely, you'd think we'd be a model for that type of governance.
At the outset, Narcisse requested an elder circle. That request was granted in July after the investigation concluded. Reforming NAN's conflict resolution policies to include traditional practices was one of the recommendations stemming from that report. Narcisse is hopeful the investigation will ultimately mean a change for the better at NAN. Greenstone Municipal Council has officially renamed Indian Road in Long Lac to Anishinaabe-Miikina. The decision was confirmed through a bylaw approved last week and is part of Greenstone's Reconciliation Action Plan following consultations with nearby First Nations. Council approved the name change in June and directed staff to prepare the bylaw, which will update the name on street signs, mailing addresses, and other official records. According to a staff report, government-issued identification and banking details should be updated for free, while any other small fees could be reimbursed by the municipality. Address changes may take some time, but that has not posed major issues in other communities. Prior to Monday's vote, Long Lac Ward Councillor Elaine Ministo says she's heard explosive comments from some residents.
And one of the comments they made was that they all received letters asking about this initially, and that they didn't agree to a name change. And now the proposal is to change the name, and to say that they are wild is an understatement.
No other councillors nor the mayor made comments on the matter before the vote passed to make the name change official. A Southern Ontario man is the latest person to plead guilty to his role in selling fraudulent Norval Morrisseau artwork. 78-year-old David Bremner appeared in Barrie Court on Wednesday. His lawyer and the Crown jointly proposed a 2-year sentence of house arrest. First reported on by Barrie Today, Bremner will be formally sentenced on September 9th, but the judge is expected to accept the plea deal. The fraud investigation was initiated by Thunder Bay Police and later involved the OPP, eventually leading to 8 people being charged. Bremner is the 4th person to plead guilty in the scheme, which involved nearly 900 fake Morrisseau paintings. His role was to provide fake certificates of authenticity with false appraisals. While not a ringleader, the Crown said he still carried significant responsibility. If the plea deal is accepted, Bremner will serve 8 months of house arrest, 8 months with a curfew, and 8 months under probation-like conditions. After the break, Red Rock Folk Fest celebrated another successful year.
We had a tiny bit of rain and they helped each other with wet tents and extra socks and whatnot.
Welcome back. It was a weekend of music, dance, and good vibes in Red Rock for the Live from the Rock Folk Festival, which featured dozens of musicians from all over the region, each bringing their unique sounds to the stage. Emmett Chilton reports.
The three-day event showcased a variety of music genres, and on the second day, there was rainfall, but accreditation manager and volunteer Kathy Morgan says that didn't stop festival goers from continuing the event.
We had a tiny bit of rain, and they helped each other with wet tents and extra socks and whatnot, and of course the music makes up for it. We have 2 covered stages and 1 outdoor stage, so there's always a space for people to go and stay dry and have a good time. And then the sun came out, so great food vendors, great artisans. It was a great weekend overall. It's the people that make it, and the music, of course. Generally speaking, we have about 2,000 people that come through the gates overall during the weekend, at different times. It seemed the campground was really full on Friday, so it suggested to me that perhaps more.
What started out as a small grassroots festival of bringing new and different music to the North Shore community, 23 years later is now a full festival that attracts thousands of attendees and musicians from all over the region. The Vaudevillian Band perform with their signature 1930s sound that consists of spoons, washboards, guitars, and banjos. Morgan says having a wide range of music for people to enjoy is what the festival is all about.
Everything from kind of crazy vaudevillian, funny, risque music through to beautiful music inspired by sounds that come from Asia. And we had, of course, some dancing bands, and of course we had some bluegrassy country stuff. Really, when you talk about folk music, what you're really talking about is music of the people, which means we had international music as well. So what that really means is there's something for everybody.
The event featured local artisans, food vendors, yoga, and boat tours, and many of the attendees were camping on the festival grounds throughout the weekend. Kelly Badeau, a Black Francophone artist from Winnipeg, was one of the Sunday afternoon performers, and many festival goers can be seen enjoying her music and dancing. Emma Chilton, TBT News.
North Star Air held a grand opening for their brand new hangar and headquarters last weekend with a ribbon-cutting ceremony. The celebration included First Nation community officials and airline staff with a tour of the facility and aircraft. The massive facility on Derek Burney Drive was built at a cost of $10 million. The 37,000 square foot building was custom designed to expand their services that northern communities often require, such as walk-in freezers, an expanded passenger lounge, and on-hand maintenance. Wapekeka Chief Cornelius Wabos says it's nice to have an airline that can service their community in every way that's needed. And Airline President Jeff Stout says they're excited to show off their new hangar.
We're extremely humbled to have some of our northern communities down here for the event, including some elders that bless the facility. Then later this evening, we're having just a big party to celebrate. Staff, customers, vendors, community partners. It's going to be an amazing day.
Something that we wanted in our community to be part of, because it brings a lot of things to our community: groceries, passenger service, and also being able to have an airline that can be able to service our community whenever we want.
North Star Air was previously located in multiple buildings throughout the airport property. But with this new permanent location, the airline can now provide improved flight and cargo services. The Workers' Safety and Insurance Board has formed a new partnership with Nokiwing Tribal Council. Officials from both organizations announced a multi-million-dollar plan this week to improve health and safety in Indigenous communities. Jaden Billick reports.
The partnership was set in stone at the lookout on Anemkiwaju, also known as Mount McKay. Nokiwin Tribal Council joined forces with Ontario's Workplace Safety and Insurance Board in hopes of giving Indigenous businesses in the Northwest better access to culturally rooted safety and wellness supports. Executive Director and Governance Advisor with Nokiwin Tribal Council, Audrey Gilbo, explains more.
It's an amazing opportunity. It's a 4-year partnership, $1 million a year. It's going to give us capacity, so we're going to be able to onboard a team to really run and develop this program from a very Indigenous lens as well, so that's very exciting. Health and safety is a paramount issue for communities right now, and it permeates into everything.
Gilbo says this will give a better opportunity to understand where the health and safety needs are in the 5 communities, not just in the workplace itself. WSIB Vice President Rod Cook says this $4 million investment is meant to strengthen these communities and bring them one step closer to reconciliation.
We haven't had the impact that we want to have in Indigenous communities. And our role at WSIB is about promotion of occupational health and safety. It's in WSIA, it's in the Workplace Safety Insurance Act, and we want to do better in Indigenous communities. So this partnership that evolved from the Health and Safety Excellence Program, I think, from my perspective, it started to create some trust, it started to create some stronger relationships, and we realized that we can do a lot more, and that's why we're here today.
Gilbo says this partnership is much needed for the 5 Indigenous communities. Jaden Billick, TBT News.
That's all the time we have for Northwest Newsweek. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.